Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Today we're going to get into dating, finding your love. I have the expert herself, Patti Stanger.
Hi.
Formerly of Millionaire Matchmaker.
Yeah.
Now the Matchmaker on the CW. But you've done so many other things in between. I've got lots of questions for you. Now let's just go back to when I first discovered you.
Okay.
Because we've been friends for a long time. We've hung out in the Hamptons.
The early days of Bravo.
Yes, the early days of Bravo.
I was just telling my assistant, she doesn't really understand because she's only with me a year, and she doesn't understand that when you, like, she just met Jeff and Taylor was on.
Right.
And we were all talking about early days, making commercials and stuff. And she
Making
goes,
commercials with the Bravo
right,
cast.
we did Summer by Bravo.
Those were
big,
fun.
elaborate commercials. And I just thought, like, God, it's like going to high school, you know? Because I just went and did Watch What Happens with Andy, and I was on his radio show, and I said, God, it's like being, I never left. It felt so good to be home, really.
And now let's talk about how you came up with Millionaire Matchmaker, because what has been great, I've talked about it here on Juicy Scoop, is that I found it, or they brought it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now it's also, is it on Peacock too? But it's on Netflix.
I'm not sure if it's on Peacock. I know originally we were on Hulu, and then they had their own Hey-Ru, and now it's on Netflix. And they only did 2 seasons on Netflix. I'm really praying that Netflix, if you're listening, do all 8 seasons, 107 episodes.
You guys know I absolutely love Honey Love. When I wear my shapewear from them, I feel like my waist is instantly snatched. But I also want to tell you about the comfort, because I've tried a lot of shapewear, and Honey Love is the most comfortable I've ever tried. The Super Power Short, this I love. It smooths, shapes, and lifts, giving you a flawless silhouette under any outfit. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/juicy. If you've got a half a day free, Sono Bello will make your summer way better. It's called micro laser fat removal, and it makes fat disappear permanently. And once a year, Sono Bello invites Juicy Scoopers to their exclusive summer savings event featuring their best pricing of the year. It's on for a limited time, and appointments are limited, so you need to hurry. And with the Care credit card, you'll enjoy flexible financing and convenient monthly payments. Subject to credit approval, see website for details. Visit sonobello.com/summer. That's Sono, BELLO.com/summer. You know, the way the show works, for the 2 people that don't know, is you were working.
I was a real matchmaker.
Working as a matchmaker
Had a real
in
company.
the LA area.
Yeah, so I was nationwide. I started in Vegas in my dad's garage.
What year?
Oh, I don't even remember. Maybe 1999 or 2000.
Okay.
And my mom was a matchmaker. So was my grandmother back in New Jersey, but they didn't do it for money. They did it for the temple. And then I ran Great Expectations, and I learned the oldest dating service in the country. And I learned
I was
the
a
business.
member.
Right, I learned the business, but I thought there was a hiccup missing. So when I got to LA, I met Arthur Cohn, who was president of the marketing division of Paramount. And there wasn't any reality shows other than Survivor and Behind the Music on VH1. And he kept interviewing me for a job, and he said, what else do you do? And I told him I did this matchmaking on the side to get out of credit card debt. And he said, that's a show. I go, what are you talking about, that show? He goes, here's the thing. I can give you a job for $65,000 and maybe a bonus, and you're going to hate it here.
Doing what?
Doing marketing, because I was in marketing. I ran marketing. And he said, but I'll tell you what you should do. Go home and think about it, because you're going to end up having a show. So I said, okay. And I made these mixers on the side at Bel Air Bar. Do you remember Bel Air Bar and Grill?
Yes.
Okay, that was my place. And CNN came in, and they fell in love with me, and they started, what is this thing about millionaires? It was a time of Donald Trump, and the millionaire was the greatest thing. Now it's the billionaire.
Right.
And so I did really well, and they wrote an article about me, which went viral. And it was iVillage was the first website for women, and it went viral. And next thing you know, agents are calling me, people are calling me, and Telepictures called me, and they said, we want you to come in and create a TV show. And I based on what you do. And I did, and that was The Bachelor, but it was called The Millionaire at the time. Terrible agent I had. screwed me on the deal.
How did he
And
screw you?
He basically didn't take the offer that they were asking for and waited for more money. And I told him to take the deal. And they ended up going with Mike Fleiss and creating this concept called the Bachelor, which was really the millionaire. Because the original first guy was my millionaire in Beverly Park, who had a helicopter plaid. And
The first guy on your show.
no, first guy that I did as a real client.
Oh.
He had a helicopter pad, a second house behind his house. The girls were going to live there, and he was going to give them jewelry like Tiffany, and we were going to go from there. And I had 3 other millionaires besides the ones they were going to cast. And several of the millionaires, like Firestone, people like that, came from really rich families.
Andrew Firestone, yeah.
And so basically what happened was I got screwed, fired them, thought my life was over. And then I called my friends and they said, you got to go over to Ari and Ari who run Endeavor. And I went to Endeavor, which becomes WMB. And I waited to the next deal. And I did a lot of shows on the side, pilots that never made it. And Bravo saw one. And they said, we want her. Because I was on another show with 4 other people. Christian Audinger was on that show.
Who's that?
It was called Self-Made.
Okay.
And it was made by these people that did new screen. They did Taxicab Confessions. And basically, they said, we want her, we don't want anybody else. And that's how it started. And they saw my concept. My concept was pretty simple. It's basically what I did in my real life. 2 clients a week, was the idea. And we would make a mixer, male, female, gay, straight, it didn't matter. And we'd fix them up and we'd watch it go. But I wanted to continue the story. I ended up becoming a rap show, which that's where the money is. The back end is in rap because you could do it out of order. And that's why people watch the show all over the world, because they can watch it out of order.
Meaning that one whole show is
It
one
doesn't
episode.
cliff. It doesn't cliff like
yeah.
a housewife show, which
Right.
I really wanted to be a housewife show, but they
Yeah.
didn't let me.
Yeah.
And then we floated a lot. Like, we didn't have a set night. We floated all over the place. And we just, whatever we did, it worked. Next thing I know, I had like 6 episodes. Then it became 10 episodes. Then it became 15 and 18. And I did a lot of specials with Andy, Valentine's Day specials. It was just kept growing. And we were the back end. We were the one you sold to other countries and made a lot of money on it.
Now, in me watching the old ones, I mean, have you gone back and watched and cringed in your own skin?
Oh my God, the way my hair looks, how fat I am. Like,
And what you say
I
to-
sit there and I go, what was I thinking?
What
You know?
about the stuff you say to people?
Well, I mean, Andy asked me last week when I did a couple weeks ago when
Yeah.
I went and watched it, and he said, Patty, you were so opinionated. I think it was on his radio show, actually. And I said, I have no filter, and I told the truth. Now I have a little more of a filter because we can't, we can get canceled now. We didn't get canceled. But it was a time of shock therapy. You don't get Teresa flipping a table or
Right.
Nene pulling a wig off of Kim without shock therapy. And so my shock therapy was my mouth.
I mean, it definitely...
I cursed a lot.
It definitely worked.
Yeah.
But
It's a different time.
I have to say, because it is a different time today, it's fucking fun to watch.
Well, the kids
I say
are watching
go
it.
back and watch it because you will die.
The kids are obsessed with it. And I thought they were going to hate that I was screaming and yelling and cursing, but the kids are obsessed. Like on the street corners, wherever I go, kids come up to me and go, I love the show. When can we watch the other ones? And I go, switch it
I
off.
think people now, the pendulum always swings.
Yeah.
So we went very politically correct, cancel everybody that says one wrong thing on a tweet 12 years ago.
Right.
And now I think people are like, we don't care.
We really want the truth now.
Yeah.
Because like when I listen to my God is Bill Maher, I'm just like, I'm obsessed with him. Just like your comedy, Joan Rivers. Where would Joan Rivers be today?
Right.
I mean, she is the goddess of all goddesses.
It would have been, who knows if she would have affected the pendulum because she wouldn't have put up with it.
But if
So
you're
she would have just
like,
kept doing
my
her
favorite
thing.
show on television is Hacks, and if you're watching Hacks and you're watching the Joan Rivers of that show, basically, you got to have Joan Rivers when you're writing Hacks. It is so amazing how we can't really tell funny anymore. We can't look at people and make fun of them anymore because then we're cruel. It's not
Right.
cruel. Everybody laughed along with the joke then.
Okay, but what is amazing about the show is you have these girls, and I assume they know they're being on TV,
Yes.
but they also have the hopes of maybe meeting somebody. So they get to be on the Patti
Yeah.
Stanger show, and they also might meet somebody.
Yeah.
But here you are. This is what is amazing. Okay, so I get your point of view. I believe you know what men want of a certain
millionaire
caliber.
men, millionaire
men want of a certain caliber.
And they're sick and twisted.
But then what I thought was so weird, but I love it for today, but I thought it was weird back then, is you have these two people that are basically what I would call punkers. Emo, whatever.
Oh, you mean Destin and Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay, Destin and Rachel.
Who... Like what? Why would we?
When Destin came to me,
okay, but wait,
I was in need of. These are real people.
Right.
I was in need of an assistant. I had been the Murphy Brown. If anybody ever watched Murphy Brown back in the day, I'm dating myself. She had a revolving door because nobody could be her assistant. It's like Jeff Lewis. Nobody could make the grade. Yeah. And so he called me up. He said, "Look, Virgin Records is closing down. I manage Virgin Records. I have a lot of piercings, a lot of tattoos, whatever. But I'm a really good assistant." And he was back then. And so I said, "Get your ass here. I don't care what you look like. I just need someone to do paperwork." And that's how it started. Yeah.
So then when you started to do the show, they're like, "We like this guy."
The one thing about Bravo at that time is that they wanted authenticity. They were not going to, like, they might manufacture things now, like a little bit, because they have to keep up with the times. But back in the day, the camera was shaky, there were no lights, and they wanted the real grit. That's what made that show. So every single one of us, like Jenny worked for Jeff. Jenny got the show for Jeff. Like we all actually, Jackie Warner really ran a gym. Right. You know, Tabitha might have won a contest, but she really worked in a salon. And we were real people with real jobs. Rachel Zoe, perfect example. Right. You know, I mean, you know, her staff, look where they went. So, you know, they worked out of her house and she went through the dresses every week and said, "Oh, I'm so bored. It's the same dress every week." Like, it was hysterical. We loved all that.
So then he brought in his girlfriend, who was also had
who
like
becomes his wife. Becomes his wife. Right.
Now, I want to know what happened to the two of them.
Well, okay, so they did something, I don't want to say too much, but they did something that wasn't really ethical to me. We ended breaking up. They said they weren't going to go into the love business. They were going to go into jewelry business. They sort of got in the love business, but it didn't work. Similar to Chelsea. You know, when you train somebody, you have to expect that if they like the job, they're going to go make their own company. And there is an NDA and there's some logistical things you can't do. And they did something unethical. I don't want to get into it. But
well, I'm just going to say
but Bravo was like, get rid of them. So we got rid of them. And then I go do $1 Million Matchmaker. And Mark, who's at the president of We, likes them. So he brings them back in. And I was horrified. I was like, I can't work with them. And
so wait. Stop. Slow down. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they go on their own.
Correct.
You break up.
Yes, correct.
And
we were close.
I'm going to guess that they were going to start their own matchmaking situation or TV show. They
went behind my back to get a TV show.
I assume they got 5 DMs from fans and thought that they could handle their own show.
They went to Andy and so did Chelsea.
Oh.
But that's not, but I would have produced them. Like, you have to understand something.
Exactly.
Unlike Rachel,
yeah.
I would have said, you know, Brad wanted his own show and he got it. But unlike Rachel, I would have said, "You want a show? Okay, let's figure out, are you enough?" But then their Q scores don't add up to it.
Right.
So you have to remember the Q score is everything. If you don't shine on the Q score, no one's giving you a show.
And explain what the Q score is.
It's like an analytical version of how important are you to the world? Like, does everybody know who you are? Do you shine on camera? There's things called quarter hours. Does the ratings go up in the quarter hours? Like, they have to analyze you. And so if it doesn't work, they're not giving you a TV show. That's just how it works. And people don't talk enough about the analytics of it. I was very into the analytics of Bravo. I needed to understand that so I could create content, because I created all the content.
Right.
And I was a real executive producer. But when Rachel and Destin leave, Mark brings them back, and I have to work with them for one season, and they didn't really shine very much, so they didn't work.
So they came back for
the We TV show.
Then you went to the We network, and they came back for that. But the love and the chemistry was kind of lost.
No, because I don't forget. You know, I'll be civil and I'll do my job, but I didn't feel like they should have been there. And that's just my opinion. But I played along. Mark wanted them, and he's the president. He makes decisions, and I loved him very dearly. So I would have done anything for him. But when someone burns you, and we don't need to go into details why, you can't forget that in business. You're not going to trust them again.
I really think that is such a thing about Hollywood and the assistants. Like recently we joked about, I joked about on Sandoval, the Sandoval of Vanderpump.
I like
and there's this girl who plays his assistant.
Right.
And hey, she's an aspiring actress. She's gotten a few bit parts. And she also is being an assistant on the side. So she's smart enough to weasel her way in or find him, and she's on the show, and she's, kind of fun to watch. And, now she's doing a commercial and all that, which is completely
But I mean, look at the
fine.
Ariana effect.
Yeah,
it's
but I'm just saying that is completely fine. But I do think sometimes people, get a little bit of a taste of whatever, and it might be that they're opening for a stand-up, and I remember this.
I mean, like Raquel would have been nothing had she not had the affair with Tom. Like, who was Raquel before that?
Yeah, she was on the show, but
she was the furniture.
Right.
She wasn't Ariana and any of the other girls. She wasn't, Sheena or anybody like that.
But I do think there's something interesting, and then where somebody, especially in this day and age of social media, which wasn't at the level of yours.
we didn't have social media back
then. But you
then.
get a few people saying like, you should have your own show. You are the one that makes it happen. You. And then I remember, talking to somebody about this, and oh my God, I'm getting all these DMs that I should come to perform in this city.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Are they going to be at City Winery because you were at City Winery?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but I'm like, even if you got 100, 200 people from Chicago saying, come to Chicago,
correct,
we will come see you. Probably only 10 of those will actually buy a ticket. So like, don't think that just because someone is DMing you is like that's a real ticket. Those people that are DMing you are probably living in a basement with their 9-year-old mother. They're probably never going to leave the house. I'm just saying. So it's
there's tons of people that don't even have social media that walk around and watch TV and go, I want a TV show. Tyler did that. Tyler the Medium. He said, I watched you and I wanted to do that like in the medium space.
Right.
Okay, that's great. You had a concept. You had an idea. But people are walking around without concepts and ideas. They don't understand when you're selling yourself, you're selling a format to the network and you're selling a format to streamers. Like Netflix is so strict on what they put up. I don't think, the real estate space is doing really well. So we have Selling Sunset, like that. But then, Jewish matchmaking did great for terrible like for one season. It didn't get picked up. But Indian matchmaking was nominated twice for an Emmy with my production company, and it didn't. You have to stand alone for very long periods of time and make yourself special for it to get picked up every season, because it's a long game. Like don't people realize that?
You produced a matchmaking show for Indian people?
No.
What?
No, my production company did Indian matchmaking, which was a really big hit, but it went away.
Oh, same thing with same production company that did you?
And
I thought you meant you produced
They do
it.
Selena.
Okay.
They do also very big production company, excellent from Sony. But for them to get picked up every season, and Netflix has their own analytics. It's not like a network. You can't go look at a rating system, and they keep it very secretive and very DL. They have their own system. They are the giant. We're not going to lie. They're the giant. And at the end of the day, you have to be really extraordinary to stay every year like on the air, like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Like Gordon Ramsay, I just did Hell's Kitchen. That man is a machine. He's kissing you, thanking you for coming all the way out to Fox. So me and the Bella twins just did Hell's Kitchen. We ate for 15 minutes and we said something and that was it. And I watched the teams go at each other. I mean, I am in love. I mean, I was a big fan of the Bear, but this was like watching the Bear live and watching them really cook. And it's a restaurant. You pick what you want. It's insane. And I said, God, how does this guy do all these shows? Like Lisa Vanderpump.
Mm-hmm.
They're not kids. They're getting older. Right. And I'm in awe of the two of them, like how they really pull it out. Yeah. But you have to have something extraordinary to be like there for a long time. You might get on the air for 15 minutes, as Andy Warhol said, but something extraordinary, you have to stay.
I am ready for summer. My skin, that's another story. It's a lot drier. I have to make sure it doesn't burn. And honestly, it could use a little TLC. Well, good thing I've got OneSkin. All of their products are created by skin longevity scientists and backed lab and clinical studies, so they work. And it's not just surface benefits either. Their OS1 peptide, this is the one that targets the zombie cells that cause lines, wrinkles, and saggy skin. is scientifically proven to reverse skin's biological age at the cellular level. So whether you're laying out at the beach, hiking, or heading out on vacation, OneSkin's OS1-powered sunscreen block UV rays while targeting the UV-induced skin aging that you already have. I love all of their products, but I'm really excited about their new limited edition bundle, Summer Skincare Essentials, which includes their daily moisturizers and broad spectrum sunscreens for face and body. I absolutely love it. I've noticed a huge difference in my skin. OneSkin is more than skincare. It's about skin longevity, targeting the root causes of aging to help you look and feel your best at every age. Get started with 15% off using code JUICY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code JUICY. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support Juicy Scoop and tell them we sent you. It's time to expect more from your skin care routine. Invest in the health of your skin with OneSkin. You guys know I absolutely love Honey Love. When I wear my shapewear from them, I feel like my waist is instantly snatched. But I also want to tell you about the comfort because I've tried a lot of shapewear and Honey Love is the most comfortable I've ever tried. The Super Power Short, this I love. It smooths, shapes, and lifts, giving you a flawless silhouette under any outfit. The Super Power Short is helping ladies everywhere sculpt and smooth from stomach to thigh by offering just the perfect amount of compression. I mean, come on, you guys. It is hot. We want to be comfortable, but we also want to look great. And that is the difference with Honey Love. This piece is also a body lifter. The boost bands on the back of the thighs give your bottom amazing shape. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/juicy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/juicy. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support Juicy Scoop and tell them we sent you. The summer vibes are just getting started, honeys. Shape your life with Honey Love. Now, when we were talking on the phone and setting up this interview, we were talking about some of the celebrities and reality stars that we love that are newly single that you want to help out. So one of the people we talked about from the Valley was Jax and Brittany, which as each day passes, it seems like they probably...
I don't think they're going to get back together.
I don't think they're going to get back together.
Andy asked me that, and I said, I don't think they should. I think, look, Brittany was really strong. Usually a woman never leaves the home. But when the home is dysfunctional for the child and the child is falling apart, I give her props for leaving because I would have done the same thing. And she's a beautiful girl. She's incredibly young. She has her whole life ahead of her. She'll get married again. It'll be another guy. I'm not worried about her. I just want her to, Jax doesn't like being alone. I love Jax. I've known him forever. Yeah. But he doesn't like being alone. And usually it's easier for the man to move on than the women because men don't want to feel their feelings. So they go to the next girl. A woman will spend a year working on herself like, why did it go wrong? I'm in therapy. What do I have to do? Where a man's like, who's next?
Well, it's it was interesting because I was watching the episode of The Valley and he's like, we'll never get divorced. We love each other to death. We'll never get divorced. And the two guys whose wives have been, her confidant are like, I think Brittany might feel a little differently. And of course, shortly after they wrapped, she did leave and they are living separately. Yeah. I've heard him speak about it and it sounds like he's like, we both are on the same page. We both can date other people.
How could dating other people be helpful in a lot of ways? They have to get divorced to date other people.
I mean, I think they just aren't at the point of filing. But he said we are both fine dating other people, and
that's going to hurt.
We are good co-parenters, and we see it, da-da-da. And I do believe once you go down that path, it's very rare that you'd ever want to come back.
No.
So...
It's same thing with Maurizio. It's same with Maurizio and Kyle. I mean, when he said on his show... Mom gave me the green light to date other people. And I was like, and then Alexa starts crying. And I'm like, why don't you get up and hold her? Like, it was so weird and awkward. And I love Kyle. So I was like, I felt so bad. I mean, I'm feeling bad for all these. I was just with,
I also think,
I was just with Taylor and we were talking about what happened with Russell. It was horrible. And I was just thinking about all the marriages that break up on camera. Yeah. If you go through every housewife, there's going to be a lot of breakups there.
Yes. And I also think though, it's when people can fight and everything, and maybe the people that fight, yes, maybe they should get divorced. But the ones that become indifferent,
That's what
That's
Gottman.
what
That's
it
what the
is.
Gottman Institute says. That's the break
if you're
of marriage.
If you're like, go date other people, I don't care. You really, really don't care.
When you don't give a shit and you just roll your eyes, okay, and you're like over that person, it's over. Gottman Institute scientifically has said that indifference is the cause of divorce. So you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Like, and I also think the breakup of the friendship. Like, if you really, like, if you, it's, you know, relationships have lulls in sex. You get older, you don't have as much. It just is a fact. But if you like don't enjoy each other's company and you can't laugh and you can't like,
you have to have compatibility.
Yeah, and you can't go on vacation together. And you can't. Then what else is there? Then there really isn't anything.
That's when people are there for the money. There's like there's always a payoff. You know, I'm afraid to be alone. Like they have some reason why they stay, but they also stray a lot. And by the way, women cheat more than men scientifically. Did you know that?
No.
Statistics show us. We just don't talk about it because we're in shame. We have shame about it. Men are like bragging in the locker room, and we're like, don't let anybody know.
I saw this famous. Well, I don't know if she's famous, but she's very successful divorce attorney, and she said, out of all the divorces I worked on, only 3 or 1 or 2 or whatever of where the man filed first. They always had a girlfriend. They always had a girlfriend.
Okay.
But the amount of women that would file that had no one, but just was done with him.
Because women are over it inside the marriage, and men are over it after the marriage.
The men will stay in a bad marriage until their girlfriend is like, either you're going to get rid of her and get divorced, or you're going to lose me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're like, whatever, who cares?
Well, they're getting their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Where women are like processing, because a lot of times women take it on themselves that they're broken.
Yeah.
They're the broken ones until they go to therapy and they realize, no, you're not broken. The relationship was broken and neither party wanted to fix it.
Yeah.
So by that time, it's usually too late. Because if they don't go to therapy together, I'm not a fan of individual therapy. I believe you go together in therapy. And the therapist is somebody you both mutually agree on and is not bipartisan and listens to both sides of the story and then gives information back. Doesn't just sit and listen and write down, oh, our time is up. That's shit.
What do you think? So what kind of guy would you try to find for Brittany of Jackson Brittany?
Somebody who owns his own business isn't out of the spotlight.
Is out of the spotlight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like somebody who like is Valley Boy, has a house, divorced. He also has a kid.
The other thing I just thought of that's going to be a hard sell is, okay, the child is 3 years old. Mm-hmm. You hit it off with Brittany, her sweetness and everything, but you got 12 years of TV to see what it's going to be like to deal with the stepdad. I mean, you're going to be the stepdad. I'm saying to deal with Jax, that might be a deterrent. I'm just saying if we're looking for guys.
I think if a guy really sexually attracted and really wants to have another kid with her, I think they'll be okay.
All right, well, that's
because I think a lot of times smart men know like a lot of
it would be nice if you got somebody that, you know, whatever. I don't feel that Jax is passionate sexually about Brittany.
Well, she said that.
Yeah, that.
But I mean, that's like when the sex died,
and that's why I don't think jealousy.
That's her love language.
But I'm saying that's why I don't think the jealousy would happen. That's why I think actually, if she did find somebody else and he was a good guy, I'm going to take it back. I actually think Jax could be cool about it.
We don't know.
We don't know.
He's a Pisces. We don't know. So when you have a Pisces, it's anybody's game.
Now, why are you so in astrology?
Because I love astrology.
Astrology.
I was an astrologer, so I love it.
Okay, but the thing is, being a matchmaker, astrology. Now, I feel like, you know, the reason I don't like astrology for these reasons is I feel that people always say, oh, well, she's a this and she's a that, and they don't get along.
It's more than that.
I know, but
you have to do a composite chart. You have to look at progressions and transits.
Why don't you just... What does it matter what day we came out on the earth? Why don't you just try to find someone who, in the moment, not in the stars,
well, usually you meet somebody who is hitting a progression or a transit. Like usually you hit something where, you know, like I'm having a Pisces transit right now, and I meet a Pisces. That's how it works. But
what do you mean a Pisces
transit?
Okay,
so progressions and transits are the planets when they're moving and they're hitting certain parts of your chart. So it's not just, you know, like a generalization, like a astrology reading for the day that you read online. There's a lot more. It's very complicated. It's very math oriented.
All right. What about people that were a product of fertility treatments and they've been an embryo for 10 years and then they get born on a certain day, does it still about the day you come out of a body?
The day you come out of a body. It's the day you come out of a body.
It's not about the day you're conceived.
No, it's the day you come out of a body. I never thought of that, but that's kind of cool. I'll go ask my teacher that. That's a good question for my teacher. Yeah, it's the day you usually come out of the body.
Okay.
Because technically the soul's not in the embryo, as you like to say, when the soul enters the baby and it comes out. That's why.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what do you think is going on with JLo and Ben?
I had a boyfriend whose parents were divorced, and one was an addict. Okay, and they lived separately but dated till the rest of their lives.
Dated each other.
Yeah, and they never went out with anybody else. They were high school sweethearts, and when they got separated, they just decided to live separately and just date, and it was a better fit
then
for
was
them.
the dad in recovery?
And the dad, we didn't have really recovery then, but the dad drank, but later he dies of a heart attack. The point I'm making is I said to TMZ, I wouldn't be surprised if they date separately for a while.
You mean live separately, but...
Well, they're already living separately, but date, like in other words, they're living separately and they're dating each other and still doing things with the kids, like as though they're married, but they just don't live together.
Well, I mean, I think that can work. I mean,
there are arrangements like that.
I mean, I think there's a luxury in having your own rooms in the house.
Yeah, I've seen people have separate rooms, but in this case, it's separate houses. And he looks more relaxed since he's moved out. He doesn't look when I see them in the pictures and stuff together, he doesn't look as stressed out as he looked before. Like he's got his life back in some way. And she wanted things a certain way, but when you date an addict and you know the person's an addict, my dad was an alcoholic. It is very difficult when you're not an addict and you want to drink, and she owns an alcohol company.
Well, that whole thing is strange because she really barely drank. She used to say, I have one glass of champagne a year. And then she started an alcohol company, but maybe she likes it or maybe she just can't turn down an opportunity.
Well, she drank at the Grammys.
Oh.
When they were at that table.
I remember Kim used to say Kim Kardashian said she used to
didn't drink. Yeah.
And then she was drinking. But then I heard different stories of back in the day. She was partying with Paris too. So who knows?
The bottom line is it's really difficult when you I don't drink, but when you drink and the person, doesn't or vice versa. Like, because in his case, I'm sure Jen was even killed. She doesn't seem like she's the life of the party, alcohol or drug-wise. Jen Gardner. She was like a real mom to him in a lot of ways. And I guess in the same way, he wanted that again. I mean, it's very difficult. Look at Matthew Perry. It's very difficult when you're an addict. It's incredibly hard. And it is very hard on the family. You got to go to Al-Anon. You got to understand why they do it. And you're always like, they're the ones that could cause a problem. They're depressed. It's always about them. That's very hard for her. Because she wants to be about her.
Okay, I have some questions that people brought in. I'm 46 and I've lived with my boyfriend, who's 58, for 3 years. He is twice divorced and does not want to get married, so he says. I never have been, but I would want that security and commitment that marriage brings. What can I say or do to help change his mind?
This is something that's going to be really hard to hear. Okay, and I've dealt with this all the time. Older women in these types of situations, you can't change his mind. You can only change your mind, which is if you want to get married, stay the course, give him an ultimatum, tell him look, I love you to death, but I want to get married. I need the feeling of the security. I know you've been divorced and I had a bad turn at bat, but you need to think about this because I'm going to leave and find somebody who wants to get married. That's how strong you have to be. It's very difficult.
And if you're not willing to leave, then don't fucking say it.
Right. And the other thing,
don't say it and just accept that that you may never get married.
But it's very hard because when you want the dream of marriage and they're not giving it to you, you've just dumbed yourself down and you're taking sloppy seconds because you should be able to have what you want. There's nothing wrong with getting married.
The other thing is I think that you could maybe do if you're in this situation is to say, look, you don't want to get married. I get it. You're twice divorced. But I just need to have some type of other security. So make sure you're included in the will. Maybe he gives you an apartment building or something.
Spiritual ceremony, and then you get the money.
But you get some type of property or something that if something was to happen to him,
right,
and the adult kids
Because they'll come and take everything.
And the adult kids want nothing
They'll
to
go
do
to
with you,
probate on
even
it.
though you've been the greatest partner to him for 15 years. You know, you might get real screwed. So you got to make sure.
Right.
That's what
I
I
know
would
somebody
also
right
suggest.
now in the same situation, and she's given up her dream of getting married because he doesn't want to. He had a bad marriage, and I thought, and she's living with him and has no money, no security, and he could die tomorrow and she's done. She's screwed, and she's like 57.
The other thing nobody talks about too is, which is sad, is if you are that second, or I feel like this happens more with like a third wife almost. Where it's like you have the stigma of being the third wife, but you're not this hot young thing. You were with the guy for 18 years. You were fabulous and good. And you think everything's great with his kids and everything. And then unfortunately your husband or partner dies. And those kids are like, we don't give a shit about you. Like, you were the third wife. I don't care. And here you were that stepmom that made Christmas and holidays beautiful.
But they don't
and
care.
You were
they just want the money.
You
at
were
the
the
end of the
step grandma
day.
to these kids, and you don't see them ever. And I think you also have to be really honest about that too. That could happen. As lovely as these kids are being to you when they come to visit your husband, and your husband gives them a down payment on the house and all that.
If the man really loves you, he's going to make you feel secure.
Right.
And that's something you don't ever want to talk about, because it sounds awful that you have to plead and beg to get what you want. But life is a negotiation, so you better negotiate.
If you've got a half a day free, Sono Bello will make your summer way better. It's called micro laser fat removal, and it makes fat disappear permanently. And once a year, Sono Bello invites Juicy Scoopers to their exclusive summer savings event featuring their best pricing of the year. It's on for a limited time, and appointments are limited, so you need to hurry. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal. It's a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are: tummy, sides, thighs, arms, or even saggy, loose, jiggly skin. It's gone in one comfortable visit. How simple is that? I think Sono Bello's micro laser fat removal is great because it is so easy and convenient to do. It's summer halftime, still time for a full body reset. Lose the inches and love your best summer ever. And with the Care Credit credit card, you'll enjoy flexible financing and convenient monthly payments. Subject to credit approval. See website for details. Visit sonobello.com/summer. That's sonobello.com/summer. This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Well, I've been traveling a lot, and I could not be happier. Booking.com offers so many possibilities across the U.S. for all the travelers you want to be, which is perfect for me. You guys know I have Dallas, Houston, and Austin coming up. I'm bringing Drake, but I'm also bringing Chris Franjola, and I'll be doing it through Booking.com. It makes it so easy and convenient because Booking.com's wide breadth of places to stay across the U.S. make booking whoever you want to be this summer so easy. The Heather that comes out when I'm doing shows is definitely more focused. I need a room with a desk. I need great lighting to do my makeup versus when I'm just full vacation Heather mode. So if you're like me, where you're going from hotel to hotel, or if you're maybe doing a little romantic villa for fun couples escape, leaving the kids at home, there are so many great choices on Booking.com. What are you waiting for? This summer, you can book whoever you want to be on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Book today on the site or app. Oh, this is a millionaire matchmaker question from when your show is. I'm watching old episodes. What happened with your fiance?
I wasn't engaged. Why do they keep thinking, David? They always think I'm engaged.
You were never engaged to that guy?
You're talking, or maybe they're talking about Andy, but they never showed. Oh, they never showed Andy.
Didn't
That's
you
why.
have a heart-shaped diamond
yes,
ring?
Yes, that is true. I broke it off. I wasn't in love with him.
Oh.
I was best friends with him. We went out for 5 years, and I got engaged. And then I went out another 3 more years, and it wasn't the right fit for me. He's a very wonderful man, though.
There's an episode where I think you meet with a psychic who says you're not going to get married.
Yeah, I think so. I think I did have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, yeah. But then I went out with David, and they all think that David and I got engaged. It was so strange.
Because he was featured on the show.
Yes, he was on the show.
Yes. Now, what about people that criticize you saying that because you've never gotten married, therefore you should not be giving advice?
I'm a really good matchmaker. What I do in my day job is really good. I have a lot of success. and I know what I'm doing. Just because I'm not married, you can't judge me. But then again, Belichick didn't win the Super Bowl when Tom Brady won all those rings. So it is what it is. I'm really good at what I do. I have a good track record. And I have a trauma from childhood. I'm adopted. And then I had an alcoholic dad that was abusive to us since I was very small. And so I have my own journey to go on. But I get guys. It's just that I don't want to get married. My biggest problem is I have more money than the men, and I don't want to go through that experience.
Right.
And I went through it twice, and I hated it.
And again, marriage is not anything. I mean, it's one thing if Patti, you've never had a boyfriend. Well, that's not the case.
No, I've been engaged twice.
And a lot of women don't want to get married at this point. I always get guys. I'm looking for a certain type of guy. I'm super spiritual. I want somebody who makes more money or equal to me. There's things that I want and I haven't seen yet. So I'm not going to settle. Okay. I met my guy on Sugar Baby.
I never even heard of that. Sugar Baby. That's a new one.
You don't know about the sugar daddy and sugar baby?
Like arrangement.com, but I've never heard of sugarbaby.com. Go on.
I think that there's a few.
Okay,
they're just saying this.
Okay.
He is not married, but says he likes our situation. He's 51, a businessman, plays golf and is in shape, and the sex is hot. He gives me $6,000 a month and flies me to meet him about twice a month.
Okay.
Besides some phone sex in between, it's fun, fabulous weekends, including shopping and facials charged to the room while he golfs. I'm 26, but I do want more. How do I up this relationship? I think about him all the time, and I actually really want to be with him.
So this is dangerous because she's oxytocin bonded. So this is a scientific problem. So she's already in love. Her brain is telling her she's in love. He's 51. She's 26. He doesn't probably want children. She'll probably want kids by the time she gets 30. This is a dangerous road she's going down. I don't recommend this. Gimme girls are usually cold girls that
What do you call gimme girls?
Gimme girls are claw girls. They're cold girls that want material.
Cold girls, you said.
Cold. That want materialistic items and
okay.
don't want a relationship with the mark, as they like to call it. In her case, she fell in love with her mark, which is dangerous. She's in a dangerous place. I would get out of that relationship. That's unhealthy. He's not going to give her what she wants. There's too much of an age difference. He wants an arrangement. He's a businessman. His brain is working. Sex is an arrangement. She's thinking sex is love. At 26, her brain is not fully formed.
And
like
also,
a human being.
he can find another 26-year-old girl that will meet him in San Francisco for the weekend.
And the other thing is, here's the thing. You have to be on call for the amount of the contract. So if he says, I need you these 2 weekends, you have to do it. But during the downtime, I'd pull away. I wouldn't answer so fast. You're not on the clock.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to date other people? Is that part of the contract? Because if you're owned by him and you can't date anybody else, then he's got the upper hand and you're screwed.
I think the sugar baby, sugar daddy situation is extremely dangerous.
That's what I think.
And I think it could be fun, and
it leads to narcissism and sociopathicness. And what it does is it makes you believe that you are a commodity, an object to be adorned. And then what happens when you lose your looks and you age out? That's not love. You want love. Love is not that at all.
I think I think OnlyFans or something like that is way a safer bet.
Yeah, but there's a distance.
Right, there's a distance and there's a safer bet.
But they're also porn stars. This is not a porn situation. This is
actual sex. I almost think this is worse.
But she's in love with him, and this is companion sex.
Well, she became. I think she's just loving the idea of it all.
Yeah, well, she wants.
I did have a girl come to my show. Mm-hmm. And she was pretty, and the guy she was with was cute and not much older than her. Like maybe he was early 40s, and she came to my meet and greets a few years ago, and she goes, "I'm engaged, and it is my sugar daddy."
Yes, because she didn't want to be.
But she didn't want to what?
In other words, the ones that get engaged that I've studied, and I've studied
from
this,
the sugar baby, sugar daddy
are
situation.
like they could live without or live with them. Then they get nervous. You're going to find somebody better, so they offer the ring. I've seen that a lot, but it's the girl who doesn't want the ring. The one that wants the ring doesn't get the ring. So it's kind of twisted.
Well, I think it's a rarity too.
And usually those girls have more than one guy on the ropes. It's a very rare situation.
Right.
You know?
How do I get expect my man to pay for more than dinner and trips without appearing to be a gold digger who is using him. It's just that I know he can afford it, and a few grand a month and a credit card to shop would make a world of difference to me.
God, these women that come to you. First of all, if he's not that type of man, it's not going to work, because he might come from poverty conscious as a child and think like, I gave you enough, even though I've got my piles of money over here. You have to understand the mind of his money. Where's his money mind coming from? But if he's generous, then you can just say, look, I need this to feel secure, and my love language is gifts and cash. I need to feel that way. And if he runs away, he runs away. But if he doesn't,
that's a good way to say it, actually.
Yeah, like that's my love language. But if he comes from that family where they don't spend more than they should, even though he's rich, like a Warren Buffett type, you're screwed, because that's where they think. They think like that. A lot of men are like that. They got a lot of money and they don't spend it like the way the woman thinks they should. Like you don't get a Chanel a month,
And then I think there's guys that love to give the gifts and the shoes and all that stuff, and the girls
that's how they
love
get
it.
them. That's how they get the girl.
Yeah, and it's to them, it's like not a big deal. Like for them to drop for someone to themselves as a woman, oh my God, I've never spent $1,000 on a pair of shoes. But to a guy, they're like, they don't even realize that you could get shoes for $34. So they're like, oh, all my girlfriends have to have the red heels.
One of my friends has a client, she's a matchmaker, and the guy literally was bitching that his last girlfriend, he had to buy her Chanel every 2 weeks. And the Chanels are, $8,000 now. And so, but then he goes to the next girl after they break up, and that's what he leads with that. He leads with the Chanel. So you lead with your money, you get what you deserve in the end.
And for girls that are not getting married to these guys, the reason they do want the Chanels is because that is their safety net. They go up with money. They're good.
I have a best friend who's engaged to a man who's worth $100 million, and I basically tell her, how much shopping can you do at the end of the day? If you don't like him, what's the point?
Right.
Because you're going to hit the shopping wall, and you're going to be like, I don't want to fuck him. I don't want to spend time with him. He annoys me. He this, he that, blah, 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 blah. And then like you have nothing at the end of the day.
Nothing. Who cares?
It's like you want your best friend at the end of the day that you can fuck. Like everybody needs to get that through their heads.
And I think the same thing. I'm like, yeah, you have all these bags.
Who cares?
That when you walk into a store,
who are you trying to impress?
The person that works at the store will give you a little more attention than if you didn't have that bag.
Yeah.
But you're right.
You're
Who
pretty
cares?
woman.
But I remember when I interviewed Erica Jane years ago, she was telling me her life story, and she married Girardi, and for the first 10 years, she was his companion. She got to go to all these great dinners and these trips, and she got to buy whatever she wanted. And right before she started to pursue the singing and the show, she said, I was like, how many more bags and jewelry do I need? Like, who cares?
Right. That's basically it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only get so much, and if you're that kind of a woman, then you're not really right in the head. You need to get therapy, because it's not healthy the way you think. Because your thinking process is intimacy. You want intimacy. That's what people don't get. Chanel purses, as great as we love them, they're not intimacy bonders.
Right.
The guy's giving it to you because he wants to own you and keep you. He's not giving it out of the goodness of his heart in those cases. It's different when the guy just goes randomly buys you a purse, or, like it's your birthday or something. But it's not like he has to do it weekly and give you this much money. And like they're called claw women. Pat Allen coined it back in the day, Dr. Pat Allen, who was on my show many times. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there is a subset of character of that. And there's claw men too. Let's not forget, as much as there are sugar girls, there's sugar boys. And they come and everywhere on street corners in LA.
Let's talk about that, because I think I've seen an influx of that.
Way more than we've ever had.
Yes. And I think it is an element of, there are these guys that are pushing 40 that are cute and they can be helpful and all of that. But
they're carpenters and never made it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They never made it. They don't own property. And they're smart, though, because they see a woman who's maybe like my age and divorced and fit and fun and, down to have sex and have fun, who can provide a lifestyle for them. They don't want to have kids. Well, I don't want to have kids. And it can be kind of a good match. I don't think it's a negative. I don't think it's a bad combination.
They're beta and the woman's alpha. So the alpha pays and does all the cash and the fun and goods and prizes, like takes them on the vacations, all that stuff. And the beta is okay with being taken care of. But an alpha man would not like that. He would be like, I feel uncomfortable taking your money. I don't want, I don't care if we have to go to Olive Garden. We're going to Olive Garden, versus Spago. Like it's a different kind of mindset. And there
What
are
would be
beta
kind of
men.
interesting is to talk to a mom who has that 37-year-old failure to launch son, but he is cute. He can fix a few things around the house. Maybe he was a surfer. He's dabbled in a few different businesses. He never got married, didn't have kids. And then he meets that,
The rich girl.
50-year-old woman who
The
looks
Calabasas mom.
who looks 35 but is divorced and like has her own business. I mean, I would be like, sure, maybe I'd like my own
Let me tell you
grandchildren, but
something.
I'd be like, go for that. Why not?
When I was engaged to Andy, his parents were so gung-ho on us getting married because he had a nothing job in government, and then he had real estate that was going to be inherited to him. He had a lot of money that will come to him one day, but in the early days, like, she wanted me to take care of him. I made more money. I was killing it at Bravo. I had endorsement deals, and she liked me taking care of him. And I was turned off by that. I was like, I don't like this. This doesn't feel, because I wasn't raised that way. I was raised where my dad took care of my mom. And so it felt unnatural to me.
Do you know where he is today at all?
Every now and then I'll get like a text, happy birthday. He's got a girlfriend. He's fine. Yeah.
Did he ever have kids?
No, and he never got married. He had an issue again. I don't know. When I went and I did a stand-up show with this, the Great Love Debate in Orange County. And a woman stood up and she said, they didn't screen the questions. And she's like, I'm dating your ex and he's messed up because of you. What did you do to him?
Oh my God, in the show?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
I said, I did nothing to him. I said, I decided this wasn't the right relationship for me. And he was very controlling in the end. He was a typical Leo, very controlling in the end. And I didn't like the way it made me feel. I'm sorry.
Are you aware of what's going on the show Summer House with Lindsay and Carl?
I was just with Amanda on...
Amanda from the show.
Yes.
Amanda,
and she kind of
Amanda
explained... Well, Andy and Amanda kind of explained it to me. And he wants to get married and she doesn't. Is that the one?
So
that's what
it's
Andy told me.
So Lindsay and Carl were platonic best friends that came on the show 8 years ago. And every summer they go into the Summer House. And there's fights and there's, but they're the staples along with Amanda and Kyle. Like the four of them, I think, have been from the very beginning. And people have come and gone.
Right.
Like Hannah Berner was on and then she did her own thing. And so then all of a sudden, it was like the two best friends, like a romantic comedy, fall in love. And a year after them announcing to the world that they're in love, they get engaged.
Yeah, okay.
And a year after the engagement is the next summer we see them. The wedding is looming. They're fighting. They're miscommunicating. They're like it's just a nightmare.
But like, is that the scene where he says to her, "I don't want to get married"?
Yes. So that just happened.
And that just happened. So
well,
I didn't
it just happened. It happened like last.
Yeah,
it happened last fall.
summer. Yeah.
And so
he doesn't want to get married.
He finally decided we just argue too much, and I don't want to spend a lifetime of couples therapy. But it's so fascinating.
Was she devastated?
Yeah, she was really devastated. I mean, also you got to take it from the girl's point of view of she has her dress, she has her bridesmaids,
and he's saying
she has
on
her
national television,
and it's 2.5 months away, and this wedding was going to be in Mexico, and it was going to be filmed.
Big over the top thing.
And I do think like it's she probably had her doubts too. I'm sure they had a shitty summer.
Was Amanda and her really close? I think they have like an issue
they've all
together.
Had their weird issues.
That's what she said.
But much like Sandoval, at the moment of the breakup, all her girls surrounded her, and there were girls throughout the years that didn't like her, but they were like.
Did she end up dating somebody else in the end?
Now she's dating somebody that she dated prior to him that came back around, and
what about him? Is he dating anyone?
No, I don't think he's dating anyone, but I think he thought he was afraid.
Then I'm confusing Summer House with the other show. What's the other one? Where somebody wanted to get married and the other one, Southern Charm. Somebody wanted to get married, somebody didn't. Because Andy was telling me about two people. The guy wanted to get married and the girl didn't.
Oh, that's Paige.
Paige, that's
Paige
it. That's
is
the one
on
she told me.
Summer House, and Paige is dating Craig from Southern Charm.
So why doesn't? And they live separately, like in two different cities,
so
right?
So she's in
How
New
long
York.
have they been going out for?
A couple of years, and and they make appearances on each other's shows, and I think it's just
so. Why don't they just break up if they don't want to be together?
I mean, I think there's a lot about the. I mean, I think that if they're to be honest, I think it's a lot of it is about the show. I've got my filming
in other words,
Southern
my
Charm.
money's in the show. I can't mess up.
I think so,
But
and
then
they're
you're
not
going to give
saying
up
it.
your own personal life and your love life for a show. That's ridiculous.
Well, I think she's young enough that the pregnancy ticking time has not.
How old is she? Under 30?
She's probably like 30.
Oh, that's why.
So I don't think it's like hit her yet.
But he wants to get married. He's
And
older.
He
He's older.
would maybe do it, but at the same time, like I think they get along. I think they're sexually attracted. I think they have fun. I just don't think they're ready. But I have a theory. I have my own dating relationship theories with life. Take reality shows out of it, which I just think is impossible to. I kind of feel like if too much time goes without making the step of moving in together or getting engaged, I think you're gonna. It's may never
dissipate.
Happen.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like that's why
I don't believe in, like, I did 5 years and I was like shocked, and I got the show at probably year 3, and I was so into my work and so making my money, and I was angry in the beginning because I wanted to get married. I wanted to have that kid. I was early enough to have the kid in their early 40s, and we didn't, freeze our eggs back then, so I had to move it or lose it, right? And I wasted 5 years, and he wanted children. He picked me for that reason, but he really didn't want kids. He wanted the girls that wanted kids because those were the good girls. Those were the quality ones. And then because they're mama-like, they can take care of you. And then he changed his mind, and I wanted to murder him at year 5. I was like, wait a second, we're getting engaged, and now you don't want kids? Like, what? Yeah.
Right.
And it was horrible. So somebody would take your childbearing years away. Thank God I had a show and money because I wanted to kill him at one point. And you go through that.
I think Paige is very likable, and so is he. Both of them have kind of.
But they're going to have to put up or shut up at some point.
Both of them don't have scandalous storylines or reputations.
Or they don't have backstories where they're terrible.
Both of them have had, like, he had a girlfriend way back when, and she was kind of a bitch, and then he really flourished.
I'm a fan of Madison out of all of them. Like, Madison and I've talked.
Oh, on Southern Charm.
Yeah, she was going to call me if she didn't meet her fiancé husband, who, she met in Scottsdale. That was the greatest story ever, where he sees her, she sees her.
What's the story?
They're in a bar, and I think in Old Town, and she's on a bachelor weekend, and I guess he's with his guys, and they lock eyes, and they start to talk, and she says, listen, they're pulling me out. We're going to the next bar, whatever. I, live in Charleston, so if you want to see me, you're going to be in Charleston. He flew to Charleston the next day. She hadn't even left Scottsdale yet and was waiting for her there, and that was it. And he lived in Sacramento, and he was taking care of his parents, and it's a great story. I mean, she had just come off the A-Rod scandal, and she had a son to raise. He actually looks like her son. It's like weird because I looked at her son. I said, God, he looks like her husband. It's crazy. But anyway, and she's a hard worker, and she's a good girl. And I love that story, like that they saw each other and just knew. They had that knowing where you don't get that very often. I have never had that where you just meet the person and just know.
I think with Paige and Craig, I think they are both extremely normal in the best sense of the way.
Well, for
being reality stars.
Yeah.
I never remember like there being big like scandals or people thinking that they're bad friends or bad people. So I think they're
they're not
good,
like Tom and Tom.
Yeah, like they're like good people.
I mean, like Tom and Tom had shit with the backstories that they had.
And so
you're like, I hate you, but I still want to watch that show.
Yeah. So but they're still fun to watch, and they're just very likable and level-headed. And
also,
so maybe they're just enjoying their time. Like she is going on the road.
She's young, so they're young. Give it 5 years and let's talk.
Right.
Like when she gets to be 35. But like I was thinking about when you said that about Jax, it's like he cheated with Stassi, with Kristen, and I'm thinking like he had terrible backstory. Like sometimes you meet these guys and they cheat with other women, but they're not going to cheat with you, right? Do you hear that? And you're like, okay. Then they cheat with you, and you're like, damn it, I should have known because they cheated on so and so.
Right.
And I always go, fuck, like, didn't you listen? But, your gut is like your chemistry. You're drawn to them. They're sharp in the way they woo you.
Right.
And she got married and had a baby. It wasn't that, wasn't like it was nothing. It wasn't like a quick blip.
Now, tell me about the new show that's out.
It's very different.
Now,
very different.
which is on the CW.
Yeah. CW came to me with IPC, which is a great production company. They're from Sony. And they said, we want to do something a little different. And I said, what do you want to do? It's a little tamer show, but it's almost like therapy. So you come in, you have a problem. Why am I single? Why can't I find love? I've been stuck in a loop. My ex-husband, this, that. And I figure out what's wrong with you. We give you a task, and you have to do the task, and then your reward is a date. But it doesn't mean like I'm giving you a date and it's the one. It's not about matchmaking in this sense. It's more about healing. It's a healing show. So it's a little more interesting because we go deeper than the average dating show. We're not like Love is Blind and gimmicky. We're going in to figure out what is your wound and let's fix that shit finally. And like all the people that were on the show called me up and said, I'm a completely different person since then. You know, it was really nice.
And who were some people you had? I saw you had Vicky from Real Housewives of the OC.
Vicky was a great story. So Vicky was on Girls Trip, and I had just done her podcast with her and Steve. And he was nasty, and she was nasty, and I was in the middle.
They were nasty to each other?
Yeah, and I was on the podcast in the middle. And I said, Vicky, this is not healthy. And she says, I know.
How was it? How were they nasty to each other?
You got to listen to that podcast. It was terrible. It was like really mean and undercutting. But I knew that.
Why are they doing a podcast together anyway in the first place?
But I knew Steve, she was dating down again.
To remind people, so Vicky's Real House of OC,
and she makes a lot of money. She makes a lot of money.
And Steve's brother is the host
Roger Lodge from Blind Date.
And so I think he did like being on the show, and he did like that she was famous.
Yeah, but it was more than that. So he was not a nice person.
Okay.
She was a giver. She just wants her coffee in the morning. Make my coffee, and you set my day, and I'll fuck you. She's really a great person. So basically, she dates down again because all the guys don't make money like she makes, and it is a rub to the men. They don't like that. Okay, and she goes on the girls' trip, and he broke up with her, and he went off with someone else, and she can't get out of bed, and Dorinda's screaming at her, and Jill's like, I don't know what to do, and Tamara's having a fit, and it was awful. It was awful. And I got a phone call going, help me, help me. So I said, did you ever make a list? She goes, what do you mean a list? I said, make your list, write it down right now. She makes the list.
Of what she wants in a guy.
Yeah, and it's to the point like cowboy boots and 6'2" and, lives on the beach and like all these things that you wouldn't, it's too specific. The next day she meets Kelly, and Kelly introduces her to Mike, who becomes her boyfriend, who's exactly on the list. And Mike had dated my best friend, so he was a good guy. Like I had good references for her. And off they went. And now they're living together.
That's great.
So she came on to teach one of my girls not to date down.
Oh.
Yeah. Very similar to Ashley and Akati. I had her on my show, $1 Million Matchmaker.
Who's Ashley?
Ashley's from The Bachelor. Akati, and Jared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, if you don't make Jared jealous, because he kept blowing her phone up and saying, get off the show, don't do the show. I'm like, if he didn't care about you, why would he blow your phone up?
Oh, this is Ashley I and Jared, who now have 2 kids. Well, she's pregnant with a second.
So I said, you make him jealous, and that's exactly what happened. But it wasn't through me. The show started it, but she went off with the fireman. I don't know his name, from Canada, Kevin or something like that. Yeah. And then she got into her podcast and her business, and she was like over Jared. And Jared was living with Nick, who's on my show, Vile. And they went off to do a vacation, and they were at the airport, and he couldn't take it anymore. He was so jealous. He grabbed her and kissed her, and she said, wait a second. You better mean what you did. And off they went. So she broke up with the boyfriend, and then she ended up with Jared and got married to him. Remember, jealousy is a powerful tool. I don't recommend it, but it is a powerful tool.
To use it
it can backfire on you, but
you're manipulating the situation a little, which you have to.
But
sometimes. Love is a game. Right. There has to be some game playing.
So
if you always lay everything on, I don't believe in full disclosure and laying it out too soon, because that does scare people, and you want there to be a mystery.
I like that she went off with Kevin, probably lost her virginity because she was the crying virgin on The Bachelor, and I like the fact that she kept the road going and ignored him. And then when that happens, so it's like when you disconnect, they feel it. The minute you disconnect from someone, they feel it. And they every single guy I've ever dated has come back. Every single one. Usually when I disconnect and I don't care about them anymore.
But how do you feel about, people talk about the JLo and Ben? They, the reason they broke up is that he cheated on her, or he was at a strip club or something. And then when they finally get married, it's like, oh my God, we're finally back together and all this stuff.
But then reality sets in, and then the dopamine has to wear off at some point. You're no longer on the high of a wedding and all the fun things. You got kids to take care of. There's 5 kids between them. So so there's more high stakes now. It wasn't like they were single and ready to mingle, and he's an addict, and she's got running all these businesses. He's doing the accountant right now. So they have a corporation going on, and then there's an ex-wife and an ex-husband.
Well, the ex-wife,
I love Jen
allegedly,
Garner,
She
so-
wants them. Yeah, of course she wants them
she's
to work out.
engaged. She's engaged.
But she wants them to work
Yeah.
out, supposedly. And I'm like, yeah.
You take them off my hands.
You would.
Take
And
them
also-
off my hands.
And also, you don't want another traumatic breakup because I'm sure JLo is nice.
But the one thing that I feel bad for is her twins.
Yeah.
They were in love with A-Rod's children. And then they go here, and they're probably, and I know they're
they
in
were
love.
hanging out with A-Rod's children.
Yeah, and they loved them. They were like the girls were really close with her daughter, and the same thing is with this one. So if God forbid they break up, another family. Like,
I talked about the JLo tour canceling, and I think
that's okay.
I think there's a couple things. I think one, it wasn't selling well, and then why not cancel? And then also, the reason for canceling it, meaning I want to give more time as a mother to my kids.
Can I be honest with you?
I think that's a very
Can
good
I be honest
thing.
with you? I think she handled the breakup with grace, and I'm going to say that outright.
The breakup? What
with
breakup?
Her breakup with Ben with grace.
Wait, you think they're broken up now for sure? Wait, what are you talking about?
They live separately, and they broke up. And I think they're broken up.
You really think they're really broken up?
No, not totally broken up. I'm saying, like, I think the way, look, if you and I broke up with someone and I didn't want anybody to know, nobody would fucking know. Nobody was following me around like that. She is an icon. So I think she handled it with grace. I don't see her falling apart and falling in the street. She's bringing flowers. She's bringing gifts to the kids' events. She's acting with grace. I have to say that.
I think
she did a great job.
Listen, I think, as a mom, and as a working mom and someone that goes on tour and all this stuff, I think it was kind of like God's intervention that she wasn't selling the tickets. And it was like, let's cancel.
When she made that movie, she fucked herself.
Right. So let's cancel this.
Yeah.
Because also the one daughter is going off to Yale and she...
Which her daughter?
No, Ben and
the older daughter. She's really smart. She can
just
speak
like Jennifer Garner.
She can speak a lot of languages.
And
she's very
going
smart.
off to Yale.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
So I think they're like,
congratulations, Ben and Jen.
That's fine, but we
Mazel
have
tough.
It comes a time where you're like, okay, one has sailed and is hopefully going to do great in life.
Yeah.
Now the three other. They're little and younger, 16,
Teenagers.
whatever. And I think that she probably was like, you know what? I only have a couple years left with the twins, and we're maybe I just really do just.
How
give
about she's
extra
tired?
Time.
She works her ass off. She did Atlas. She did all these movies.
She has to turn down stuff. And so she decided to turn down the one that wasn't working.
But you have to understand, he told her not to make the movie. He said, I'm shy. I don't like being out in the public eye. I make my movies, I go home. He said that on an interview.
Like, don't do the documentary thing.
He said, don't take, and then when she lost the money, she used her own money. And he was like, this is too over the top. I watched part of it. I couldn't get through. It's like, it was too much. And then
you're talking about the documentary or the videos, the music? There were two.
Yeah, the one about their love story.
Okay.
And then Jane Fonda said, if you do this, you're going to lose him. Like, you're pushing him too far. She saw it on the red carpet. She told her that on the red carpet. You can find that video. And
that Jane Fonda said that to her. Don't do this documentary thing.
She's like, you're going to go too far. You're going too far. She knew. She saw it because Jane Fonda had been around the block, and she knew. And she had, they had a relationship from a previous movie, and I just thought, don't bring your personal life into your
I also think there's weird things happen with celebrities where
they want to be reality stars secretly. You know that, right?
Well. I think what it is.
Why does Jen have a cooking show, the make-believe cooking show? Why does JLo make a movie about their love life? They secretly want to be us. Let's be real.
Well, I think what it is
and we secretly want to be them.
I think that there is something going on where the worshiping of celebrities is over with.
Yes.
Because there's no mystery to it. Because they're on TikTok.
Correct.
Like you said, they're doing their cooking show. They're doing their everybody has a documentary.
And everybody
of how
has an
hard their life
Instagram
is.
channel.
Everybody has, already, there's no, it used to be like, oh my God, I got to ride my bike home.
I saw Nicole Kidman and I saw Jennifer Garner and I saw, any of these people like Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, I would die. Now I'm like, Like I went to because I had to be on the Critics' Choice. I had been on the Critics' Choice Awards, and I had to interview celebrities who were nominated for my channel, and everybody was in the room. Leonardo, Bradley Cooper, you name it, there was everybody there. And I saw them, walking down the carpet, and a couple of them stopped in my booth. I met some really cool people that I wouldn't have expected to stop in my booth. The Saltburn kids, like all really cool people, and I was just like, Like back in the day in film school when I was at University of Miami,
Yeah,
if
but
I
also-
had
but
gone, I
you're
would have been
older,
like,
though.
oh my God. No, but it's
But
like,
I'm saying, I even
yeah,
think,
I
think also just because they're so much more accessible and we see them
mean, like
doing these
Christina
things.
Ricci beelines to my booth and she's quoting penis as a picking and shit like from me. And I'm like, you know who I am? And she's like, are you kidding me? And I'd have people come into the booth that would go like, oh my God, there's Million Matchmaker. And I would be like, wow. And I'm looking at Leonardo DiCaprio, who I love his last movie. I mean, Run, Don't Walk, Killers of the Flower Moon. Wait till the scene in the prison. You'll understand what I'm talking about if you've seen that movie. It's worth 3 hours. And I just was like, But he's so handsome. He's still handsome to me. I still think he's the hottest thing in the world. He's got an X factor to me that I like, that Scorpio X factor. But at the same time, I was like, Jennifer Aniston was the one I really wanted to see. Because, you know, to me, I mean, from Friends to the Morning Show, I've loved her every way, every step of the way, you know? I really, and I'm watching, and the best show right now, True Detective with Jodie Foster. I was a Jodie Foster fan. They were all doing the Actors Roundtable. Nicole Kidman, Jennifer Aniston, Naomi.
Right, I saw
Naomi's
those
really
clips.
good friends with Nicole. They were best friends growing up through the industry, and you hear how they praise each other. And when Nicole Kidman praises Jennifer Aniston, she's like ready to cry, and Nicole Kidman means it. Like it was so great to watch that.
Those you can watch that, all those clips like on
Yeah.
the
It's a Hollywood Reporter? Yeah, Hollywood Reporter.
It's really good. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up. I want to talk about how you have these Matchmaker
Fragrances, yeah.
Explain what this is.
So a pheromone is what we emanate in the wild to attract ourselves to one another. Animals have it stronger than we do. And so as we grow older, it diminishes. Like, because it's like with estrogen, you know, they have to screw us when we get in menopause. So we created this pheromone for gay, straight, and fluid people, okay? And I just gave you a couples kit. It's for male and female. You'll put it on tonight. You'll tell me how great your sex life is. Because I've got candles too. I'll send you a kit for candles kit where you can actually have a spout and it's got massage oil in the candle. Yeah.
Oh, so wait, there's...
That's fragrance. I'm going to send you some candles.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
your husband gets one and you get one.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
and you're going to all like go crazy over each other because it's the scent. Think about when you fell in love.
Where do you get the pheromone? What is it?
It's from the Orient, you know, from Asia.
Okay.
And it's the highest secretion of pheromones you can get.
I remember there was a pheromone perfume back in the 90s, and I went and bought it and went out that night, and I didn't have that great of a night. Does it have a scent as well?
Yeah, it has a scent, but if the scent leaves, it'll still be in your bloodstream. So make sure you put it on your heart chakra, not just your pulse points.
Okay. And
Yeah.
where can they buy it?
They can buy it at eyeoflove.com, EYE of love.com, and just look for Matchmaker.
I love it.
Yeah.
And of course, follow Patti, watch the show. Where can they watch it? Where can they
They can
stream
watch it on
it?
the CW. Well, unfortunately, the CW is the only place you can stream. So you can download the app
Okay.
on, you know, the Apple Store or Fox, Firefire. And I don't know if Roku has it, but I know those two do.
Okay.
And you can download the app. It's on there, and you can watch the CW. If you can't watch at 8 o'clock on Thursdays, you know, on,
All right,
on regular
cool.
television. But I know a lot of people don't have regular television right now. So I know that's unfortunately, but, you know.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much
Patti.
for having me.
Thanks.
Appreciate you bringing me on.
Well, you guys, thank you so much. I'm loving all the support. I'm getting out my live shows, and I cannot wait to perform for you. So remember to go to heathermcdonald.net. We got San Diego, July 27th, the Dallas dates, August 8th, 9th, and 10th with Chris Frangiola. Saratoga is August 17th in California, that beautiful winery country there. Can't wait to do that. Another beautiful outdoor venue. And then we've got Vegas in September, and then all my East Coast dates in October. So get on it. They will sell out. heathermcdonald.net, and that's where you join Patreon. Thank you. This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Well, you know I've been traveling a lot, and I could not be happier. Booking.com offers so many possibilities across the U.S. for all the travelers you want to be, which is perfect for me. You guys know I have Dallas, Houston, and Austin coming up. I'm bringing Drake, but I'm also bringing Chris Frangiola, and you know I'll be doing it through Booking.com. This summer, you can book whoever you want to be on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Book today on the site or app.